The simple answer is yes, but only kind of. Now, for a long time, I have considered the best Mortal Kombat movie to be the one that came out in 1995, with Kari Hiroyuki Togawa, rest in peace, playing Shang Tsung. I just felt like that was the pinnacle, especially after Mortal Kombat 2021 came out, because that movie was how do you put it delicately? Pretty fucking bad. And I just watched it again Friday night, and then I went and saw Mortal Kombat 2 Saturday night. So the first movie was still pretty fresh in my mind. So believe me, I am pleased to say that Mortal Kombat 2 is leaps and bounds better than the first movie, and it is a strong contender for best Mortal Kombat movie. I'll tell you that right off the bat. Now, before we really get into this, like, the reason that I wanted to wait the whole weekend was to give you guys a chance to have seen the movie, because to really talk about what I do or don't like about Mortal Kombat 2, I kind of have to get into spoiler territory, because I have to compare it to the games, because it's based on video games, if you guys didn't know that. And so this is your spoiler warning, basically. We're going to be talking in depth about some of the finer things that happen in this film. So I want to keep in mind the fact that I did say at the top of this review that I liked the movie. I really liked it. In fact, I had a really good time watching it, okay? I would like to see it again. But that does not mean that it is without flaw and folly. Because, in some ways this movie pissed me off just as bad as the first one did. And it's actually, like, really impressive how that happened. What I find really interesting here is that we are 2 films into this new Mortal Kombat film franchise, and almost nothing from the games has happened. Like, almost all of the content that we're seeing in these movies is film original. They're doing a little bit of what I like to call whatever the fuck they want, and that's not necessarily always a bad thing. You can move things around if it serves the purpose of telling a better story. I have no problem with that. What I'm concerned about is the fact that I don't know that we are telling a better story. We've moved so many things around with the lore. Like, the first movie is such a huge departure from the basics of Mortal Kombat that the second movie has to flat out ignore a lot of what happened in it. So as a back-to-back viewing experience, it's very jarring. If you are a non-Mortal Kombat fan, if you have not played the games and you just watch these movies, I'm very curious as to what your viewing experience is. Because for me, as a long-time fan of these games, and as a Kung Lao fan, as you can tell from the screen, it leaves me very confused in a lot of places. First, I want to address the elephant in the room. Let's talk about Cole Young, because he was, like, the biggest points of contention for the first film. I did a whole video just dedicated to Cole Young because he was such a random character to add. In the first movie, he serves no unique purpose, but he's the most important character in the movie. And when I say no unique purpose, I mean to say that he's put on this pedestal as the protagonist of the story. But Mortal Kombat already has one of those. His name is Liu Kang. And he's also, like, the audience surrogate character that's, like, from the realish world. And so he's being explained all of these science fiction and high fantasy and, you know, all the lore and story of what Mortal Kombat actually is at the same time as the audience, so that it can be somewhat organic, you know, as a way to have that exposition in a way that doesn't feel jarring. Well, we've got one of those too. His name's Johnny Cage. And he's also, like, this descendant of Scorpion and, like, all that remains of the Shirai Ryu, but we also have one of those. His name is Takeda Takahashi. So he really doesn't need to be there, but his role in the movie is so important. He literally summons Scorpion back into the plot, who the movie isn't about Scorpion, but he's there anyway. Because that's Ed Boon's favorite character. He also kills Goro, which is a big deal because Prince Goro is the final boss of the first Mortal Kombat game. That's who Liu Kang is supposed to defeat in this tournament, the tournament that the Mortal Kombat 2 movie is about. But yeah, fans just didn't respond well to the character, and so going in, I was hoping that they would address that. Well, they do. Again, spoilers. Cole dies at his earliest opportunity. Yep. He doesn't just die, he gets killed brutally by Shao Kahn. Head completely smashed. There's a throwaway line later on in the movie about how Quan Chi, who's also in this movie, not on the poster though, how Quan Chi needs your skull to at least mostly be intact in order to bring you back as a revenant. Cole doesn't have one of those anymore, so yeah, he's gone and he's not coming back. And while I'm not exactly mourning over the death of Cole Young, I do kind of have to feel like it was a waste of my time. You know, he was a protagonist of the previous film. He was the character with the most screen time in the last film, and then he dies immediately this time around. So it makes the first movie feel like a waste of time. And they kind of, it's a corner that they painted themselves into. It's something that they really could not get around without it feeling awkward. Arcana was another thing that they kind of dropped in this movie. They don't talk about Arcana anymore. They don't even show the Mortal Kombat logo marking the characters have, which is good because it was a needless thing that complicated the story. But it's also like, okay, well, without Arcana, how do you know that Johnny Cage has been chosen as a champion? Also, at the end of the last movie, they're going to Hollywood to get Johnny Cage, and at the beginning of this movie, they're going to Hollywood to get Johnny Cage. It's like, I thought you already got him. It's been a while, hasn't it? It's been a little bit of passage of time, but whatever. And, you know, as a fan of the game, it's tricky watching something. So the reason that I was like glad or at least relieved that Cole was out of the story is because I'm like, okay, well, Liu Kang is the protagonist of Mortal Kombat. Hopefully that means he's going to step into that role and actually be the main character of this movie. I know that like the whole thing's been about Johnny Cage, and like they've been setting up Johnny since the last one, and they were talking about the reason that they didn't have the first one is because they were worried about him and Kano clashing with their big personalities, which is strange because Johnny and Kano kind of become partners in this movie. So, not that that was a bad idea. That was a great idea. But, you know, whatever. But much to my disappointment, Liu Kang is not really the protagonist of this movie. It's more Katana. A little bit of Katana, a little bit of Johnny, but definitely not Liu Kang. And I like Katana quite a lot. But she's not in the first Mortal Kombat tournament. Nope. She is introduced in the second game, which is about the second tournament. See, the problem with wasting your first movie on the not tournament is that now things, like, everything shifted in a weird way. That now the second movie is about the first tournament. Shao Kahn is also not in the first tournament. Like I said, Liu Kang is supposed to defeat Goro, but Goro is already dead, so you have to move things around. Shang Tsung is not a part of the tournament, even though he's supposed to be. If you remove Goro, then the next final boss is Shang Tsung and then Shao Kahn. But whatever. Sindel is also in this movie, and she dies at least twice. Sindel doesn't make her first appearance until Mortal Kombat 3. Shunek's amulet has a really large role in this movie. It's not supposed to. Not yet. And it doesn't do in the games what it does in the movie. It's all really, really strange, because like they talk, like Shunek's amulet is like the MacGuffin of the movie, but they don't talk about who Shunek is or what his amulet actually means, or like his role as an elder god, or really the elder gods at all. Like the Outworld has been cheating really hard these last two movies, and the elder gods haven't done anything. Now, if you're familiar with Mortal Kombat, that's probably not a shock to you. The elder gods don't do much. We've seen them get directly involved in the story twice in 13 games. So, you know what? Fair enough, I guess. And I guess, to get my last bit of complaining out, one thing, sometimes the movie looks really, really cheap. Like the teeth that they, like the prosthetic teeth that they use for Baraka. When Baraka's actor is talking, you can tell that his mouth is in the middle of the giant latex mouth that they put on his face. They don't have it where his jaw moves in a way that you're used to Baraka's mouth moving. If you've been playing Baraka for a long time, then you kind of know how his face moves when he talks, because his mouth is gigantic. Well, that doesn't really come across through the prosthetics. Beyond that, Quan Chi also looks really bad. Like his ball, I don't know if his actor has a super long head of hair and didn't want to shave for some reason or another. But the bald cap that they use on Quan Chi looks atrocious. Like he looks like Megamind. So sometimes the costume design does feel very cheap. Sometimes the green screen is super obvious. And the last thing I want to touch on is Carl Urban as Johnny Cage. Not a bad pick. I would have said years ago, like back when The Boys first started, I was like, yo, this Carl Urban guy, like I'd seen him before. I'd seen him in Thor and Dread. I was like, he would make a great Kano for this new Mortal Kombat movie they're making. They didn't pick him. The guy that they did pick to play Kano did a great job. He knocked it out of the park. He was the best part of that first movie. One of the best parts of the second movie too. So I think his name's Josh Lawson. I have no problem with him as Kano. In my mind, though, that means you don't really need Urban for anything because you've got a Kano. His casting as Johnny Cage kind of be by surprise, and the version of Johnny Cage that we're going with here, he's like washed up, forgotten by Hollywood. At the end of his rope, his career isn't what it used to be. I don't love that, but I get it. It's interesting. I think they really had Carl in mind, and they adjusted the character to fit him. Now, Carl's accent, he's from New Zealand. Johnny Cage is not. So he does an American accent for this movie, and it's by and large not bad, but sometimes Carl's natural accent is kicking his ass, and you can tell. And sometimes you're like, was that really the best take that they could get? But, you know, I mean, that's a nitpick. A lot of it is nitpicks. It's just like, yeah, certain characters are in this movie that shouldn't be. Like, Jade shouldn't be there yet. Oh, you know what? I do want to point out one last thing. I'm glad Quan Chi is here because, you know, that's how you get Noob Saibot and stuff like that. But when he brought back Kano, he brought back Kano normal. Like, not even as a Revenant. Because if Kano had been a Revenant, then the plot wouldn't work. When he brought back Kung Lao and Sindel, their abilities were intact, and they were still mostly themselves just corrupted and evil because they are now Revenants. When he brought back Sub-Zero, he turned him into Noob Saibot for no reason. It's also very abrupt on screen. Like, it happens really quickly, much like everything in this movie. It's just like boom, 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 boom. And like when you get to the final fight or like the final act, you're like, wait, this is it. Like, so, like when the movie starts to end, it feels like there should be like 30 minutes left, but it's whatever. I guess the movie's length isn't really that bad. It's the pacing that moves at a breakneck speed. As I was saying, he turns Sub-Zero into Noob Saibot for no reason at all, other than the fact that in the games, Sub-Zero becomes Noob Saibot. And another thing that I was concerned about with them, like, setting the beef between the Shirai Ryu and the Lin Kuei so far back in the past in the first movie, is I was worried about Sub-Zero, specifically the Kuai Liang Sub-Zero, the second Sub-Zero, the one that's Scorpion in Mortal Kombat 1 for some reason. Because I assume that through Shang Tsung's sorcery, Sub-Zero was granted a long life. He's lived for thousands of years, and then he dies. But he's got a little brother named Kuai Liang, in the games at least. In the movies, they haven't said that name yet. So is his younger brother supposed to also have long life? It's I don't know, but like I said, they haven't mentioned that name. There hasn't been any mention of someone named Tundra who becomes Sub-Zero in Bi-Han's absence. Sub-Zero in the movie just kind of becomes Noob Saibot because I don't even know how Kano knew that was that was Bi-Han. I guess it's also worth mentioning that because Ed Boon's favorite character is Scorpion, obviously Scorpion has to be in this movie. Somehow, he also speaks perfect English in this movie. Somehow, despite not speaking a lick of it in the last one, which makes sense because, you know, he died at a time before English was really a popular language. And they definitely weren't speaking it in Japan. But yeah, he speaks English in this movie. He's back. The plot kind of has to, like, go out of its way to get Scorpion back into the movie. But I like Scorpion. Now, I'm more of a Sub-Zero fan. I have played Sub-Zero my whole life. Sub-Zero, Kung Lao, and Jade are, like, my big three. I play them in every game that they're available in. I do like Scorpion. I can admit that he's cool, and I get the appeal. He's really cool, so I'm not complaining about the movie sidetracking itself to include him in it. but it's very obvious. But now you might be thinking, if you're still here, after all of that negative that you just said about the movie, how could you have possibly liked it? The fights, you know, the action is brutal, it's got impact, the gore is tasteful, the fights are really well choreographed, to be honest. Like, sometimes the camera gets in the way, but the choreography of the fights is among the best in any Mortal Kombat movie ever, and among the best in any action movie that I've seen in a long time in general, which, considering the fact that this is Mortal Kombat, and it's based on a fighting game, you want that action, you want those fight scenes to be good, and thank God they are. And it goes a long way for me. The fight towards the middle of the movie between Revenant Kung Lao and Liu Kang is the best fight, not just in the movie, not just in this Mortal Kombat franchise, but the best fight in any Mortal Kombat movie. It's so good. Oh my god. And like, I mean, Kung Lao is my main, so like, I was just glad he was back. And like, the emotional impact and the emotional weight behind having those two characters fighting to the death really hits hard for me, because I play the games. I don't know if you're a movie only kind of person, if that hits the same way for you, if it hits the way that it's supposed to. But for me, I know how impactful it is for Kung Lao and Liu Kang to be in the situation. So I was on the edge of my seat. I literally like leaned forward. I was locked in. That fight was amazing. You know, that last fight between Katana and Shao Kahn is really great. Johnny, Kano, Scorpion versus Noob Saibot, also very sick. There's a lot of really great fights in the movie. And even though I don't love the fact that Jax and Liu Kang die, because they're not supposed to, I still had enough of a good time watching it to be like, I'll be there for Mortal Kombat 3. I don't really know what the plot is going to be. I mean, Shang Tsung is still alive, he's still out there, and Quan Chi is also still alive, and he's kind of being forced to work with the Earthrealmers, so maybe we'll get a Deadly Alliance adaptation, but Liu Kang dies in Deadly Alliance. But, you know, the movie ends on a cliffhanger of like, we're gonna force Quan Chi to bring our friends back, so maybe there's a way to get Liu Kang back, but I mean, he kind of just like ascended, like he didn't even like keel over and die, he just turned into fire. I don't know where I don't understand. Maybe he didn't even die, maybe I don't know. I guess it's left kind of open-ended, but I didn't appreciate Liu Kang losing that fight because he's not supposed to. But I also am not super upset about Katana beating Shao Kahn, because I understand the thematic purpose that serves. Like, they move some things around with that character alignment and motivations and stuff like that. Like, Katana does not start out as a good guy. She is loyal to Shao Kahn for quite a while. They also don't mention Mileena in this movie at all. Probably for the best, because they kind of screwed that up. But whatever. Like she starts out loyal to Shao Kahn to an extent, and then she finds out about Mileena and things change. She's defeated by Liu Kang. He shows her mercy. That changes things for her as well. She's not a double agent right from the jump, but this movie doesn't necessarily have time for that, because there are a lot of moving pieces already. There's, you know, 10 characters that directly influence the plot minimum, plus Quan Chi, plus Raiden. Raiden is a lot better in this movie. He looks like himself finally. I love his new hat, I love his new outfit, and he does his attack, but he doesn't make the sound, unfortunately. I feel like for Mortal Kombat fans, there's a lot to like here. It's not... look, is this a good movie? I don't think so. I really don't think so. But I mean, it's good, clean, mindless fun. It's good action. Mostly good acting. Good choreography, good costume design. And like I said, I'm there for Mortal Kombat 3. Hopefully it doesn't take another 5 years. But I will be there. If I were to give this one a number score, I'd give it a 6 out of 10. I think it's just above average. Or sorry, just you know what? Fuck, I'll give it a 7. I'm feeling diplomatic and generous today. 7 out of 10. Have you seen Mortal Kombat 2? What did you think about it? Whatever it is, whatever you think, comment below and educate me. As always, if you want more videos from me, go ahead and click somewhere on the screen, and we'll take you to yet another video. Please like, please subscribe if you're new. I'll see you later.